Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Naruto KAKASHI figure. I still hate Naruto, and I still don't know anything about it, but I will give the figure an honest and fair review just like I did with the last two figures. I know a lot of people really enjoyed those last two Naruto figure reviews. They didn't get mad at me at all for saying how bad the figures were. In fact, everybody was totally okay with it. And so I'm sure this review is going to go just as well, but here I am. We're going to do it anyway. This figure is actually significantly better than the other two. Sasuke and Naruto were pretty lousy. This guy, for the most part, is a pretty darn good figure. I think all of you Naruto fans are going to be happy to hear that. And those of you that enjoyed seeing the arguments in the comment section, I'm not sure they're going to happen this time. I apologize. But this guy does look good. He's got some decent paintwork, some decent sculpt work, some nice articulation. There are some problems, but we will talk about those. I couldn't do anything but talk about those in the last thing, but this time it's going to be okay. So let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice about this guy when you get him out of the package is his size. He's particularly large. He stands about almost 17 centimeters, which makes him about 6.5 inches, so he's got some size to him. For being an SH Figuarts figure, he's definitely not small, and he's got a fairly nice build feel. And what I mean by that is he's not particularly light, he's not made out of a particularly cheap plastic. It all feels pretty nice, pretty standard for this type of figure, these imports. As far as the paint goes, everything is pretty clean. You can see here on the chest and on the stomach area, the zipper is painted particularly nicely. It looks good. The face, we'll get to the faces in detail in a second, but the face looks good. General things like the red on the shoulders, pretty clean. The only real issue is, and this is an issue in a few places, the skin on the forearm has kind of like a greenish hue because it's painted over blue and it's not completely opaque. So that's a bit of an issue. We have some issues like that on the faces, but for the most part, the paint job is pretty clean. Definitely better looking than the other guys that we've seen from this line. The little rivets, if you want to call them rivets or studs, look pretty good. Very nicely done overall. So paintwork's good. Sculpt work, pretty good. Everything looks pretty nice except for this whole crotch region, which is kind of a monstrosity. It's not great. I'll explain why they did what they did as we go into the review, but just as far as an aesthetic standpoint, that's one ugly crotch, I'll tell you. All right, let's look at the accessories first because I know you guys like that. First things first, let's do the head, I guess. So this is one of the heads, and the design for this head is fine, but the way it connects to the neck is atrocious, so much so that I can't take it off to show you. But as you can see, he's got an extra range of motion in the head, and that is so that you can put him in a little bit more ninja-like poses. Problem is, it's a double ball hinge that's connected with a ball peg on either end of those double hinges. So it's almost impossible to remove the head and then get it back on without spending considerable amount of time trying to get that to peg back in. Those of you that are familiar with the Dragon Ball figures have had a hard enough time trying to peg in those ball hinges to the heads. This guy's 10 times harder. It looks fine once it's all put together, so that's not a big deal, but if you're trying to swap them out, good luck. All right, so this is the first face. Then we have this face that can swap on with that. So we have open eyes and closed eyes for the right side, and then that really cool looking scarred up red eye on the other side. So that's pretty nice. You can see the paintwork on the bandana. It looks pretty good also. And then we have this face, which has its own separate headpiece. These two, obviously, they just swap out underneath the bandana. This one swaps out all together, and that works okay because the hair itself comes off. So no big deal there. It's nice and easy. This one, even though it has a bandana going down the side and has the additional hair, it just doesn't have the appeal for me that the other ones have because it hides the scar and the red eye. You guys know, fictionally speaking, what all that is for, what that means, but still, this one looks cool, so that's the way I would leave it personally, but that's okay. And the hair, like I said, it just pops off. The face comes off. Oh, I guess that's right, I can show you. There's that double hinge, if we can focus in there instead of on the outside. Yeah, it's a double ball hinge. Such a pain in the butt to try to peg that in. And then these two faces that do swap out, they unsnap themselves very, very easily. So it's a big pain in the rear. But like I said, once you get them on, they look fine. And now if I can show you, the hair just pops off. So no big deal there. And it only fits on one way, so don't worry about the directionality of the coif. That's what it's called. Oh, shading's really nice in the hair, by the way. I almost forgot to mention that. It's very subtle, but subtlety is key when shading light colors, and it looks really good. All right, other accessories. We have a bunch of hands. We have 2 fist hands, obviously, and then we have a whole bunch more. So we have these 2, which are definitely some kind of iconic style pose hands, or at least this one is. I don't know about this one, but you guys can figure that out for yourself. We have some gripping hands. We need gripping hands because we have things to grip. So we have those. Then we have these 2 hands, which are definitely for instant transmission. Without a doubt, unquestionably, that's what they're for. And then we have some open hands, our style pose jazz hands, which every figure needs, so those are good to have. And then we have the things to grip. If he has gripping hands, you need to have things to grip. And these are nicely done. They're nicely sculpted, nicely painted. So that's pretty cool. We get 2 of those. We get a hand that is holding a book. You can remove the book, but you would probably want to keep it on there. And the front part of the book is nicely detailed. So if you were curious about that, you don't have to be. It looks pretty good. Nothing in the book, though. If that's how it's supposed to be, then that's cool. But if there's supposed to be anything in the book, it's not there. And then the last accessory is the hand that is holding the spiky sponge ball, which I'm guessing is some kind of energy or water attack. But it looks to me, and I believe it's probably technically called the spiky sponge ball of doom. I'm guessing. I don't know. But it's a very nice translucent blue plastic. It looks really, really good. Sometimes you get these translucent plastics that look kind of milky or kind of too dark. This is a really nice balance of color and translucentness, translucosity. That's definitely not a word, but we can go with it. So that's cool too. He's got that, and I guess he holds it like this, which is odd. But either way, lots of nice accessories. So far, so good. We already saw the sculpt and the articulation generally, or the sculpt and the paint, so let's go over the articulation. The head, we already covered. The neck, it moves. I think it's just a single ball peg. So you can move the head around a little bit on top of the neck, and move the neck around a little bit, but the collar is completely rigid, no give at all. So that's going to really inhibit the posability of this guy. And there goes that face again. Told you, it does not want to stay on. That's technically a big deal because obviously you need the face on the figure, but it does look good once it's on, so I'll let it slide. You guys will appreciate that, so I'll let it slide. He has a butterfly joint, which isn't too bad. I mean, we've definitely seen better, but we've definitely seen worse, so that's a good thing. Gives him decent range. We have a ball peg that connects the arm to that butterfly joint, so that gives him good range. And then we have our ball hinge for the shoulder. Again, really good range. You can technically rotate the arm around at that peg, at the ball hinge, or all the way down here underneath that red logo, where we have a true bicep swivel, so plenty of options there. We have a double jointed elbow, which works pretty darn well. And then we have our standard SH Figuarts ball hinge wrist. So again, no problems with the articulation there. The torso on this guy, I'm not entirely sure what it is because I can't take it apart since I don't own the figure, but we have at least the good range of motion. So I think it's a double ball peg in here. You can move the torso around a lot up there and down here at the bottom, though I think the bottom is a single ball peg. We do have this floating piece here to hide all that. So you can move him around pretty well. Sure, it could be a little bit better, but it's enough. I think you'll be able to pose him well enough. I think it's pretty good. And now let's talk about these hips. By the way, this is connected to that floating piece, so it kind of hides the joint down here a little bit better. So these hips, they're kind of like the new Awakening Goku hips in that they just rotate this way, and then they have a hinge out this way. So they're fairly limited. They're not bad, but they're fairly limited out to the side, and they're not limited at all going forward and back, which that is a good thing, but it does give you this really horrible sculpt. It looks very odd. So they need to figure out a way to do this. I think more of a non-sculpted design where it's just a straight up seam. Okay, just a flat seam that lets it rotate. That way it doesn't have this giant kind of gap. It's just weird looking. So other than that, I mean, you have really good range of motion, so that's a good thing. We have our thigh swivels built in, so that's okay. Double jointed knees. Still not very good in the knee department. It's a little awkward looking, but it's not bad. We've definitely seen worse, and they have good range of motion, so that's a good thing. And then for our ankles and feet, we have our very obvious ball hinge right there. So pretty good range. You can rotate that around, get an ankle rocker, pretty much do whatever you need to, pretty much can do whatever you need to do. And then you get a toe hinge that works pretty well. So it's almost like they learned from their failed 2 figures in the beginning of this line, with Naruto and Sasuke, and they made this guy much, much better. So I'm going to have to say I recommend it. If you're a Naruto fan, pick it up. If you're not a Naruto fan but like the look of this figure, go ahead and pick it up. It's going to be probably worth your money. I think you're probably going to like it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.